Why, hello there. Welcome back to the Random Show episode number 44 with your host, AgostinhoZinga. How are you doing? How are you feeling, my friends, my family? This might be the soonest I've ever started a random show on time. This is like, what, 4 minutes late? Which is pretty good for me, all things considering. So, thank you everyone that is tuned in. Thank you everyone that's going to come along. I'm happy to see all of you guys, my friends. I'm really happy to see you all. Big up the chat, big up everybody in there, big up Nick, big up Collier, big up the robot Cash App, big up everybody that's going to be hopefully streaming in their hundreds and thousands to watch the premiere random show on the entire internet. That is the random show that I present here on the AgostinhoZinga Show channel on YouTube. I'm glad you can join me. As per usual with this random show, if you want to support and you like what you're seeing, well, no, actually, if you like what you're seeing, the first thing you should do is like this stream. Smash the like button if you like what you're seeing. If you don't like what you're seeing, smash the down button. That's also okay. Okay, that happens. Sometimes you don't like what you're seeing and you want it to go down. Cool, go down. That's much appreciated. But if you like what you see, do that. And if at the end you want to come back and check me out again, why not subscribe? Why not subscribe at the end? If you like what you see and you want to come back, why not subscribe to the boy? That'd be greatly appreciated. And of course, if you want to donate to the beer fund, you can. There's a link in the chat, in the what you call it, I've pinned in the chat box. If you want to donate to the beer fund, do that. At the moment, I'm not actually drinking beer. I'm drinking this double espresso coffee thing, right? I'm trying to get like Brendan. I'm trying to drink as much coffee as possible to stay away because it's quite late here in London. But if you want to donate to the beer fund, that's there. There's a link in the chat. There's a link in the description. Do that. If not, then just smash the like button for me, subscribe for me, share it on your Twitter and all that stuff. Just get it out there, and I'll be greatly appreciated either way, either bloody way. But yeah, big up the chat, big up everyone rolling through. What am I saying to you? So today's going to be a bit of a random one, hence the name of the show. But we're going to go into many, many different topics to talk about today. But number one thing is I'm going to be covering some of the stuff I've missed in the whole comedy scene, right? Some stuff here and there, but I think I've said in recent streams, it's been a bit dry. I think everyone's been on their best behavior, so it's been a bit hard to kind of squeeze out the content. Everyone's just going over the same things again and again. Loads of Kalila stuff, loads of drama. It's just the same old bullshit. There's not a lot of fresh meat to kind of sink my teeth into. Do you know what I mean? So that's a little bit annoying. But apart from that, I'm just going to talk about some general stuff. So we're going to get through that. I'm going to talk about some stuff in the beginning that most of you probably won't care about, but hopefully you will. And then we're going to get to the Brendan stuff and the Bert stuff as we go along in the random show. So please just hold on tight. Don't leave me. Hang around. And hopefully you will enjoy what you see. I'm hoping you will enjoy what you see. What people are saying in the chat. What's it called? The new stream king. Big up Jean Keebler. I don't think I'm the stream king, but I'll appreciate any compliments that come my way because I don't get many. MN says, what's good from DC? Big up MN. You're always in here in the stream. I recognize you. Big up my friend. Punk Rock Noir says, I never watched you and I'm subscribed. Awesome, Punk Rock. Thank you for checking me out. Hopefully this stream isn't shit and you don't unsubscribe. Frankie Solano says that rent is due again. You know how it is. The rent is due, aka the beer fund. Make me, actually the rent isn't due. I just want to forget my ills. I want to black out, get drunk, and forget all my issues. So if you want to do that, jump on, donate to the beer fund. Greetings from Houston, says Graham X. Greetings from you, my friend. And Reese says, slowly but surely becoming my favorite YouTuber. Keep up the great work. Thank you, Reese Hope. I do appreciate you. I do appreciate you. DSP, pray your hands. Talking about DSP, actually, fuck that. Let's crack open a drink. Let's get the flipping random show started. So we're going to crack open a drink. Like I said, I've got my espresso here from Starbucks in a can thing. So grab your drink wherever you may be. Let's get it cracking. Let's start drinking. I'm not going to slurp on the mic. I'm just going to hear the sound effect of the can opening here so you can hear that. Nice. Now I'm going to mute the mic so I can slurp it. I'm a fucking mess, mate. I even managed to spill half of this flipping tiny can of like espresso all over my chin. I'm disgusting. But I'm not gonna do a Brendan and lick the side of it like he does. That's fucking gross. I'm just gonna wipe it the side of my trousers. Like a real man. Anyway, continuing. So, talking about DSP and prayer hands, I'm not sure most of you give a shit or care. I'm sure some of you don't care actually. But there's been some big news in the local community. I'm a big fan of checking out detractor content concerning locales. Locales are essentially what it says in the name. Um, People who extract money from their audience, but we get to laugh at them, and they're essentially just losers for the most part, right? And they're usually losers, and most usually in DSP and Wings' part, they're mostly just like reprehensible characters, like people who are really awful, and you'd have no idea why they somehow managed to have a streaming career. But essentially, they both got lucky, especially in DSP's point. Darkside Phil was one of the first kind of, let's players and live streamers back in the day. He jumped on YouTube when it was a little bit in its infancy. He was able to game the system and flood, YouTube with loads of random, horrible content that wasn't even edited or well done or well put together. And he essentially was able to kind of ride that way for a long time. And for whatever reason, he wasn't smart enough about saving his money or how he spent his money or whatever it may be. And now he's in a position where he says he's living paycheck to paycheck, which is a lie, because he makes a lot of money on YouTube without the tips. But essentially, he's kind of created this weird cult around him where he begs for tips every day. I think he does 2 streams. Each stream he asks for $150, and he doesn't ask for it. He demands it. Basically, he reminds his audience every single time he's playing a game. He's essentially begging for tips and then pretending he's playing a video game for the most part. And it's gotten so bad over the last few months that he's now, people it's now been revealed that actually the money he does get, he's now been spending it on some mobile game called WWE Champions, and he's kind of spent, close to, I think, was it like 30 grand, 50 grand, and it's just been a crazy, obscene place to be in. But usually, generally a terrible person. And it looks like the trolls have finally ramped up things, and they've decided to copyright strike his channel, to the point where now he's on 2 copyright strikes. I think if he gets one more, his channel's going to be terminated. So all of that legacy money that he has coming in from his other YouTube videos that he takes for granted and he doesn't really like talking about, is going to be completely gone, and he's going to have to start fresh somewhere again. So it's been really crazy in the DSP detractor community side of things these last few hours, because DSP has been online begging and pleading and stuff. But I really like the opening of his live stream, where he basically sounds really despondent and despairing, because like I said, he's a real piece of shit in my opinion. Somebody that really probably doesn't deserve a streaming career, but for whatever reason has been able to kind of survive off of the back of the generosity of just a few of his kind of loyal fans who he basically takes for granted. And now I guess it's finally coming to an end in some way. It won't probably, because this is DSP and he always finds a way to flipping work it out. But the fact that he's having to sweat is good enough for me to watch from afar. So this is DSP's Level 1 podcast, episode 48, where he kind of speaks about it, or he does speak about it for more than 2 hours, and he's able to raise, I think, over $500 in the process, which is fucking crazy, because it's DSP, but hey.
A podcast without hoopla.
Let's go again.
A podcast without celebration.
Because I want you guys to hear his side.
I'm pretty upset.
Hear the side.
All right, everyone. Well, hello. Welcome to...
Hear the side.
All right, everyone. Well, hello. Welcome to the Level 1 podcast. A podcast without hoopla. A podcast without celebration. A podcast that I'm pretty upset that I have to put out one like this today, because I was obviously not planning on doing anything like this today. This is not good. All right, just to preface this podcast, sadly, this is the first time in years that I have had to deal with this kind of nonsense. I'm not happy about it whatsoever. I'm incredibly upset, actually.
It's just scream through, because he's going to come up saying the same thing. Let's scream through.
I guess what's happened is,
there we go.
If you guys haven't been following along with the news of the other content creators on the internet who are dramatic and have issues, because we all follow that so adamantly, right? I don't fucking care. I've even said on my streams, don't bring that shit up, I don't care. I guess what happened is, in the last month, Wings of Redemption got basically taken down everywhere, YouTube and Twitch.
You know what's funny about this? Just to give you a little bit of background, he was very dismissive when Wings of Redemption was getting completely hammered by his detractors, right? To the point where they've essentially, made him shave his beard and stuff and do some crazy stuff to keep his channel. He's got it back now, but essentially he was on the ropes as well. And DSP was very dismissive, almost arrogant in the way of saying, oh, yeah, don't bring that chat over here, I don't care, banning people who mention Wings. But essentially, they were already forewarning him when Wings was going through his stuff that his trolls are going to turn their eye on you, because Wings is getting a little bit boring. It's the same old shit with him, and he just refuses to, learn from his mistakes, refuses to apologize, doesn't want to lose weight, doesn't want to get a job, whatever it may be. He's just gonna, He's just gonna essentially stream until the bell rings. And DSP didn't want to listen. So he was warned. He was given fair warning before that Wings' trolls are gonna come after him. He dismissed it, acted like he was bigger than it. He didn't care. And then when they finally did come to his doorstep, now he's here crying and mentioning Wings' name. Before he didn't even want to mention even Wings' name. Now he wants to talk about him and who he is. Pathetic.
And from what I'm to understand, and again, this is my very cursory glancing at the content because I don't want anything to do with it. I guess what happened was Wings' trolls took him to task because I guess what he's been doing, or at least been saying he's doing, is he threatens his trolls and says, I'll let you put up negative videos about me, but you have to pay me to do so. And if you don't, I'm going to basically abuse YouTube's DMCA system and hit you with a ton of false takedowns. Now, I don't know
Anyway,
if this
I want to
is
hear him
true or not.
complaining. I want to hear him complaining. Let's hear him complaining.
I have a direct line of contact with YouTube to talk to, spoke with them, and they basically said, all right, we have all your information. We're relaying this to our internal team, and we're going to get back to you.
So that suspension was happened. So one of the crappiest streamers in the world who essentially was, riding on the coattails of his early success, didn't want to do anything different in terms of changing his content or evolving or growing, essentially just going to get away with doing the same old bare bones basic crap and still get $300 per day, has finally been called to task. Now, whether this will last, I don't know. I doubt it. I'm pretty sure the Pig Roach, as he's more affectionately known, will find a way to survive and get his channel back and, avoid all the strikes. I'm pretty sure that will happen because he's just got that kind of luck. But it is good to see him sweat. I think in general, I'm not for cancelling people and stuff, but I do think sometimes, especially online, if you are a reprehensible character, if you're somebody that's incredibly unliked, you should have it in the back of your mind that this is possible. It's not right, it's probably not correct. The people are trying to take away your livelihood, but you should be at least aware. If you're a real dickhead and people don't like you, I think you should have some contingency plans in your back pocket just in case things go left. You can't assume that you're always going to be okay and that you're going to be able to get away with things. I think somebody like a Keemstar is a good example. Keemstar is very, I'd say, Marmite, right? Keemstar. A lot of people kind of love him or hate him, but I think he was smart enough to know that he wasn't going to be able to be a YouTuber forever. Saved up a bunch of money, made a bunch of money, saved a bunch of it, and now he kind of does it whenever he wants, and it doesn't really seem to be the main sort of revenue earner or money maker for him, which is what you should do. If you're an unlikable person, have a backup plan. DSP didn't have one, so he deserves everything he's getting at the moment. It is what it is. He's 40 years old. If he hasn't figured out a plan now at the moment, then he's probably never going to figure it out. I guess, natural selection, all that sort of stuff. Natural bloody selection. So moving on, I want to quickly move on to this. This is a clip courtesy of this channel that I want to give a shout out because this guy puts some good content on, and I think if you're looking for content regarding all the comedy people, I think you should check this guy out. It's called this, right? Too Lazy to Try. And it's true because the guy does sound like he's in a fucking coma every time he's speaking. Don't get me wrong. It takes some watching to get used to his way of speaking. And his tone and his delivery and stuff, because like I said, it sounds like he's legitimately asleep half the time, but the content's really good. He's really concise with his points, and he uploads on a consistent basis, and he kind of covers all the stuff that I'm generally kind of into. And he's got this video that's titled Andrew Schultz defends Brendan Schaub and trashes Kalila. Now, I've got an issue with this in general, the clip and what they say. I'm going to play some of the clips of what they feature because I think this is from Flagrant, and it features what's his name, True Geordie, who's obviously a UK content creator over here in it. So definitely check that out. But yeah, oh wow, Jesus Christos, Jean Keebler, thank you for the. I think is it going to come up on notification? But if it doesn't anyway, I just saw it now the right eye. Thank you for the flipping for the $99, mate. Nearly $100. Thank you so much, brother. I really appreciate you. That's amazing. Thank you so much, but you didn't have to do that. I really do appreciate that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Bloody hell, that came out of the blue, innit? Jesus. So yeah, so big up John Keebler, big up John Keebler. You are an absolute legend. Where's his notification? Is this gonna come up? There we go, super chatted. There. Cool. Took a while, didn't it? Any sound? There we go. Jesus, my computer, man. Thank you, John Keebler, for the $99.99. I do appreciate you. You are amazing. So let's continue. So yeah, this is from Flagrant 2. It features True Geordie, a really big YouTube creator here over in the UK. Some people affectionately refer to him as the budget Joe Rogan. I don't think so. He's probably more similar to like a Brendan Schaub in terms of his reception, the topics he covers, and his general acumen, if that makes any sense. But I do enjoy some of his content. I haven't watched it in ages, especially since he pivoted into doing the football, and he does it with that annoying Chelsea fan, that annoying Liverpool fan guy who I fucking detest. So I generally don't pay attention to his content, but True Geordie is a pioneer in this UK YouTube scene, so definitely check out True Geordie. But anyway, this is a clip. I'll play some of it and I'll comment as we go along.
Right? This guy evaporated, right? He's now just like Brendan Schaub's right-hand man or whatever the fuck's going on over here. Like, he hid away. When you show weakness like that, that's when the rest of the world are like,
oh, you're guilty.
He did something.
Did it,
And I'm like...
So I don't think Chris D'Elia fans will be too happy.
Hold on. I don't know what he's talking about, showing weakness. Do you know what Chris D'Elia was accused of, mate? He was accused of diddling. He was accused of approaching or trying to approach flipping near underage girls. That's really a serious allegation. I think at the time I said myself that I didn't think his silence, especially his prolonged silence, did him any favors. But him disappearing and kind of staying away from things was good. He probably shouldn't have come out and said something straight away. You've been accused of trying to approach girls who are close to being underage. You probably should kind of keep your counsel and be a little bit stum. You shouldn't be coming on podcast straight away and trying to fight your case. Maybe keep quiet for a little bit. These guys are going on like as if he was accused of bullying somebody in the workplace, or not leaving a tip, or shouting at his assistant, or throwing something at his maid or something. Nah, mate, he was accused of diddling kids, and some of the accounts are pretty grim. If you read some of the court documents, or is it the court documents or the documents that he got sober, whatever it may be, it's flipping crazy. Like, honestly, I don't know how they could spin it in that way, but how they refer to him as like Chris D'Elia as being Brendan Shaw's right hand man, he's kind of disappeared. It is true. Chris D'Elia is a complete shell of the human being that he was prior. He is nowhere near as bombastic, as outgoing, as lively, as he always seen as somebody that was always he's always like electricity was always circulating through his fucking body. I know it's probably electricity from all the flipping spirits of young girls that he was flipping absorbing into his soul and stuff. But in general, he seemed to be really somebody that was kind of had a verve for life, you know what I mean? Because he clearly was somebody that had loads of things on the horizon that he was wanting to do, being in movies, acting, directing things, maybe going on tour, Broadway, whatever. There was so many things that were in his purview, talk shows and stuff. And then now he's like, so like grey. He just looks, don't get me wrong, he never looked fucking 21, but he looks his age now. Before, I never knew what age he was. He was kind of, white people that exist, like black people. There are white people that exist that you don't really know how old they are. You don't know if they're 35, 37, 42, 52. Do you know what I mean? They've just got they're kind of unspecified in their age. That's what Chris D'Elia was like. Now he looks his age. He's grey. He looks forlorn. He looks like he's got loads of stress on the back of his shoulders. And this is somebody also, you have to imagine, who has parents who are pretty well off. Yet he still looks like that. So that's because I'd imagine if you've got parents that are well off, the financial burden of looking after your family or yourself is kind of a little bit alleviated, because you can rely on them to some extent. Don't get me wrong, no man wants to rely on their family or their parents forever, but if you have the ability to do so and you have rich parents, why not use them? Do you know what I mean? They fucking worked hard to provide for you anyway, so that's obviously a good layup. But he still looks stressed, so clearly all of those allegations, the thing, the cancer she had to go through, the public humiliation is horrible. And you also have to bear this in mind, people don't probably bear this in mind enough. Chris D'Elia, before the allegation, had a pretty squeaky clean image. It's weird to say this now because of everything that's happened, but he was pretty squeaky clean. No one knew of any of his kind of kinks, of his vices or whatever, and he was always somebody that and I'm sure we're all the same. Have you got friends in your circle who don't drink or don't do drugs or are sober and stuff, and they boast about it a lot, and they kind of make you pissed off? Like they're not the most courteous about it. They're like kind of like that annoying vegan friend. They're always rubbing in your face that they don't drink. Oh, you're hungover again. Aren't you tired of being hungover? That's so lame. All that sort of nonsense. That's how Chris D'Elia was. He was very smarmy and very kind of arrogant about him being sober and not partaking in those sort of vices, anything connected to it. And you'd imagine if somebody doesn't drink or doesn't do drugs, you would imagine, I don't know why, maybe it's a bit naive, but you would imagine most likely they don't do other things too, because they're not involved in nightlife, because or darkness stuff or stuff that happens behind the closed doors, because anything concerning drugs and drinking, you would maybe ascribe to, stuff that happens after hours and stuff, hooking up with girls, going out to random places. But if you're sober, I'd imagine you won't want to be there. So when it was revealed that happened, it basically exposed a huge part of his personality that he kept hidden for 40 plus years. No one knew about it outside of maybe people in the scene. The audience just saw him as a silly goose, a funny guy that made sounds and did all that on podcasts and stuff, and had these babies and his cult and stuff. And then it blew up, and everyone found out that he has this kink for girls who are on the verge of being underage, because clearly that's his kink. He clearly likes girls who are like just about to turn legal, or who are just underage or whatever it may be, and he didn't want anyone to know that. And obviously it happened, and the fact that he fucks all these fans or whatever it may be, allegedly. So the fact that he disappeared and wanted to not be around, I think is understandable, because he went through a lot. There's not me excusing what he went through, but to get exposed in that way publicly is pretty brutal. And the fact that his whole career came tumbling down, again, you have to imagine, this is somebody who was on the cusp of trying to become a Hollywood movie star. He was going to be in that zombie movie that Tig Notaro, whatever her name is, ended up taking away from him, or ended up replacing him on. And he spoke about wanting to be an action movie star. He was doing all those videos on Instagram of him lifting weights and dumbbells and all that shit half naked, which was weird to me at the time. But clearly at the time he was trying to use it as a bit of a first trap also, allegedly, to kind of, attract young UCLA girls and shit or whatnot, or cheerleaders from high school, who knows, right? Allegedly, again, don't sue me, please. And then it all came tumbling down, and now he's just left with being Brendan's right-hand man, cock holster, whatever, and doing stand-up. It must be awful. Imagine random people, because when it's LA, there's loads of liberal lefty types out there. Imagine the random girls that scream shit at him at coffee shops or in his car, or give him dirty looks, or maybe they spit in his coffee. Like, just imagine what it is like day to day. Like, his girl, even though she forgave him, I'm pretty sure she's always looking at him with a side eye. He knows it. It's like, I don't blame the guy for being quiet. Honestly, these guys are making it sound like he went through a minor thing. It was a big deal. But anyway, let's skim across again, and I want to see what else they say. Let's see.
Associate with him. People are obviously going to get pissed, and it barely even affected him. Like, people reading that article and still calling it. There's some really weird shit going on, and I saw is the fact that she went on Deaf Noodle's podcast to talk about this. All right, so now let's carry on to when they talk about the Brendan Schaub drama, and they talk about how Brendan's a great guy and everything, and they defend him, and then they talk about how Kalila knew what she was doing, and I think Andrew says that he believes that she was behind the sub.
Okay, so
they were. I mean,
array. Brendan's, and people come after him straight away.
They were. I mean, what happens on Reddit to him, and he's actually a really sweet guy.
I love him.
Really
nice.
He's a fucking.
He's one of the inspiration.
They talk so much. This is the thing about these comedians, right? That is awful, I think. Just objectively, and not having my own bias and my own dislike to one side. These guys gossip about each other so much in front of the camera, behind the camera. But in a moment, us mere mortals, us mere civilians, point out some of their inconsistencies, laugh at them maybe a level above, point out some of the redacted things they do. They immediately start to go to defend, and then forget all the crazy shit they said about their own friend and make it seem as if they're a good guy. Brendan, from the stuff we've seen about him online, has done some things that you could say a good guy shouldn't do, right? We don't know him behind this. We don't know him, in real life. He could be a brilliant dude, but from what we see online, this is the thing that I always have to clarify. From what we've seen online of this guy, he comes across like a piece of shit. That's just kind of like, you can't argue that. It just is what it is. Now, do you care? Do you address it? Is whatever, that's whatever it may be. But there's a bona fide fact of a thinking observation that if you've looked at all the content online, especially some of the compilations they put together in the Find the Kids subreddit, I think there's a thread where they say basically, all the stuff that he's done over the years that you could maybe say would paint him to be a bad person. You could say the guy's a piece of shit. Now, up to you if you're a fan and you don't care, or if you're a friend and you don't care because he's your friend, but you can't dispute the fact that online and how he presents himself, he does come across poorly. So all this kind of good guy stuff is nonsense. And also, you don't think he's a good guy because you talk shit about him also. So it's like, it's confusing.
People want to say what they want about his comedy, but the guy,
he's 3 years in comedy.
The guy was a fucking top 10 heavyweight in MMA. He's done well. He's done a bit of successful comedian, whatever people think about it. I felt like he got a raw deal.
Whatever people think about it. What do you mean? What do people think about it? Honestly, I'd much rather you not give me any compliments than talk about all the things I did before I went into the career that I actually love and want to do. Please, just don't say nothing. The fact that he's, he clearly never wanted to be a UFC fighter. He always wanted to be, an American football player. That dream never worked out because of whatever reason. Maybe he wasn't good enough. Maybe he got the luck. Maybe he was just unlucky with the coaches and stuff. We don't know. I wasn't there. He falls into the UFC because he's athletic and he's able to kind of hustle, and still to do it is insane. So give that guy props. To go into a cage in your underwear against another man who's willing to elbow you and knee you in the face and kick you and punch you and choke you to death is insane. The fact that he did it is sick, but he was never really good at it. He then quits that and is able to kind of segue that into his podcasting career, which then goes to stand up, which he actually loves to some extent because it makes him money and it makes him famous, blah, 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 blah. But to give him all the compliments of the stuff before and not the stuff that he's doing now is just, I would want it. That would hurt my feelings more. Do you know what I mean? Because I don't give a shit about that other career. I care about this career.
Yeah, no.
I
and
think
that girl, like, the way she was like, the way they were trying, oh, sorry, we didn't mean to.
Oh, no, you meant it.
Fuck
you
off.
know what it was. And you were engaging the Reddit. You were making the Reddit cook it up. And honestly, when we had him on, we had like a talk with him about, like, I think that you have to, like, we were talking.
Okay. This is very strange to me, and I don't understand this. I really don't. I'm sure, and I'm definitely sure, I'm 100% sure in my life that I've definitely been engaged in, flirting with, or had sexual relations with women who are in relationships. Pretty sure. Whether they told me they were in one and I still pursued it anyway, whether they didn't tell me, I'm pretty sure that happened. Random girls I might have hooked up with who had boyfriends, girlfriends, husbands, whatever, partners, I'm sure it happened. I'm sure it happened. But I don't know these partners. I don't hardly know the girl. I'm just trying to get my pee-pee wet. I don't know these people. So it doesn't matter. But these guys are trying to dismiss or trying to make light of the fact that there is somebody has accused this guy of approaching one of their fellow peers in their community, Bobby Lee's wife or partner or long-term partner at the time, in the DMs in potential to hook up. Now, could Kalila be a whore? Was she asking for it? I don't know, and I don't want to get into that stuff. I don't care because it seems like there's a weird fan base around Kalila where they're trying to paint her out to be some like super prostitute or super whore. It's just insane. I don't really know what's going on there. Even if she is very flirty, whatever, I don't care. She's in a relationship with Bobby Lee, who's meant to be this lovable guy that everybody in the community talks about, and they say how amazing he is. He should film a special. Bobby's so funny. Bobby Lee. But then when one of the guys in your comedy circle tries to hook up with Bobby Lee's partner, no one says anything. And that's the thing I really haven't understood this whole entire time, which makes me think that the reason why they don't talk about it often, or why they don't say that was because no one, I don't think, has said he fucked up and did bad there. Like, he shouldn't have done that. I don't think I've heard a single person say that. I've heard people talk about he should have handled the Reddit better and all this stuff, but I've not heard one person say Brendan Schaub fucked up and did a douchebag move by trying to hook up with Bobby Lee's girlfriend. Not one person said that verbatim. And I think the reason why they probably haven't said that, like most men in that situation, is because they probably have done it themselves, or they probably have done far worse, or they're probably doing it at the moment. So they don't want to bring more light to it. I mean, you don't want to throw stones in the glass house kind of thing. That's the reason why. That's probably the reason why. But to sit there and to dismiss the whole thing and make it seem as if it was like the girl's fault for bringing it up is legitimately insane. I've always said, and I'm a big believer in it, especially when it comes to me trying to approach girls. I've always said in the past as well. I've always said that I'm okay with whatever the girl that I try to approach has to say about their experience with me and it becoming public. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with the ridicule, whatever it may be, because the moment I engage them in some sort of dialogue, or that I try to approach them in a flirty way, or I try and hook up, whatever it may be, I'm basically, we have a shared experience. So I have no right to tell them, you can't tell people nothing about what happened here. I would never say that in a million years, never have said that in a million years, right? Never in the beginning of time have I said that kind of thing. I'm accepting of like, hey, I engage with them, and they have every right to share this experience wherever they want to share it with. But it seems like these guys have this weird sense of reality around them where, what was Kalila meant to do? Not talk about it. Why wouldn't you talk about it? It's your reality too. It's your experience too. Yes, maybe it was said in a dramatic way. Yes, and maybe it was said in a gossipy way. So what? They're women. Who gives a fuck, mate? What do women do? They fucking gossip. Why can't they gossip about shit when the guys in the comedy community, they gossip even worse than the women do? They gossip about each other all the time. They pretend they're friends. They talk of shit about them in a podcast on codes. Just imagine how terribly they talk about each other on podcasts. Just imagine how they're like in the group chat, in private and stuff about each other. They're awful, these people. There's no friendships there, zero. There's just people they're trying to take advantage of to go to the next level. It's just, I don't know, the lacking of principles and morals is crazy. They try to talk like they're bastions of society, like they can, they can lead the way. You guys should be following us and this but essentially they're all just out for themselves, really, isn't it? It's quite insane. I've not heard a single person, a single comedian say Brendan was fucked up for trying to hook up with Kalila while she's in a relationship with Bobby Lee. Not one person said that. Now, again, maybe it's because Kalila's image in the comedy scene, because again, I don't know shit. I'm in London. I'm far away from everything. Maybe in the scene she's known as a whore and she sleeps with everybody and she sucks everyone's dick. I don't know. Maybe that's the case. Probably because the way they're talking about her and treating her is a bit strange. But from what I've seen on podcasts, when Bobby Lee and Kalila were together, everyone seemed to like them. Everyone spoke about how Kalila saved Bobby Lee's life and helped him with his career and So I really don't understand how it turned into this thing of like, let's defend. And again, it's Brendan. It's not anybody. It's not Joe Rogan. If it was Joe Rogan, I could understand it. But it's fucking Brendan Shaw. Why is everyone like afraid of like just saying what it is? He fucked up. He did the wrong thing, and he shouldn't have done that. No one wants to say that. It's really insane to me. I don't understand why. But anyway, continue.
Talking about. I think you have to face this head on. You have to be funny about this. Like you have all these people who are listening to your content, consuming your content, and they're using it to make fun of you. But at the same time, they're consuming it. Engage with them. Make fun of this. Sell fucking merch with the sayings that are made. Like these people are invested in you. Find a way where you can galvanize those people. And I think if you show them that it's funny, you show them that there's a sense of humor, I actually think that they would like turn it and support.
100%.
Nope. It's too late. It's too late. And again, what Trudeau said was wrong, incorrect. He's not a comedian. That's the one thing that we've seen throughout the years. The guy is not a comedian. He's just somebody that's found a way to monetize talking on a podcast on stage, but he's not a bona fide comedian in the slightest, which is why I say he should probably just sack off to stand-up anyway and find a way to turn the podcast into a live show performance-y type thing. But when it comes to being a comedian, which means being self-deprecating, introspective, and whatnot, he hasn't got any of that. One of those bones in his body doesn't exist, which is why this whole Reddit is what it is at the moment. Because his inability to laugh at himself. He could have laughed at himself from the very moment that flipping Reddit AMA went left, because that's when it all started. When that AMA went left, right, and you couldn't understand why people were taking the piss out of him and he was acting really snobby about it and big-headed about it and stuff. If he would have been able to laugh at himself and how much of a disaster it was, he would have been fine. He would have been fine. But he couldn't laugh at himself. He couldn't see how people see him. It was impossible. In his head, he was basically mini Joe Rogan. He could do no wrong. And then suddenly he was smacked with reality and he was like, nah, I don't like this. And he just kind of burrowed down and kind of doubled down into douchebaggery. And they ended up in the position we're in now. It really is his own fault. I really do believe that. I believe he could have nipped this in the bud long ago. But now the subreddit is nearly, 100K strong, full of people, right? Full of people who just sole purpose is to shit on him. And to illustrate how terrible he is at comedy. Yeah, you know what it is actually. Everyone on social media gets shit on. I get shit on. Everyone gets shit on. If you put stuff online, people are gonna shit on you. That's one thing. But people go out of their way to illustrate, demonstrate, showcase how bad he is at stand-up. Do you know how horrible that must feel? That people want everyone to know how terrible you are at doing your job. Let alone they shit on you. Fair enough, they shit on you. They think you're annoying and stuff. That's cool. But if they go out their way to clip things and record, audio record your sets at comedy clubs and put compilations together of your terrible jokes, it's just ouch, 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 ouch. So, yeah, I don't know. I think entirely this point of the clip I want to say is that in general, in conclusion, the comedy community in general, I guess, lacks principles, or their principles and morals are very much basically person based. If you're a big enough person, if you've got big enough clout, then your principles and morals matter, or then it matters in general. But if you don't, then they don't really care, and they kind of move the goalposts as need be. But I just find it insane how no one said categorically, hey, what Brendan did trying to hook up with Kalila was demonstrably a terrible thing and a horrible thing you're not ever meant to do to your friends. He did this, probably he's part of the comedy community, whatever it may be, part of our peer group. He was obviously there before fucking Brendan was there too. You'd imagine there'd be some loyalty there, but it didn't. And they kind of, let it be. So it is what it is, isn't it? I guess if you're Bobby, at least you know who your friends are, innit? At least you know who your friends are. Anyway, what's people saying in the chat here? Martin Moose, Brendan should take on a hint. His career isn't for him. Martin Moose says, no way, he needs a separate channel for his British soccer and rave stuff. Okay. I'm actually going to set up another one just for the DJing stuff, actually. So maybe we might have to put that on there. I'm actually going to just I'm actually going to try and buy a channel that's already set up, like a fame swap one, maybe one with like under 500 subscribers, just build that one up. Or maybe just start from the ground up and just build it in general. What do you guys think? Do you think is it advisable to buy a channel already on FameSwap and just start from there, or would you advise I start the channel from absolute scratch and then build it up and add those content on there, add the content on there as I go along? What do you guys think? It's probably better to start from scratch, isn't it? Maybe it's better. Anyway, let's continue here. Martin Moose says, I assume Bobby and Kalila have a relationship, like Steve Bono and Destiny and his wife, just open relationship. Yeah, cool. Yeah, probably so. APNM says, oh, sorry. I saw on YouTube it's rated PG for adults. Def Noodles is doing a live roast battle with special guest Mike and Jules David. Really? Is that true, Eddie D? Is Mike David as in flipping Red Bar? Is that Red Bar, right? No way. Okay, cool. Martin Moose says start from scratch. Okay, cool. I'll start from scratch then. Fuck it. I won't buy it. Ernest Hamilton was on Def Noodles podcast. Why didn't he beg her to attend his disastrous roast? His roast was worse than Growing Up Happy, and Def Noodles got banned from Twitch. Yeah, the demise of Def Noodles has been fucking insane to watch. I mentioned it in the Discord the other day. And again, if you haven't joined the Discord, then please do. It's really fun. We talk about amazing, cool, funny stuff. So if you haven't already joined there, then I do recommend that you join. But I haven't checked out Def Noodle stuff in a while. I used to follow him on Twitter. He was really fun. Follow. I think it was during the pandemic, wasn't it? During the start of the pandemic, I kind of discovered him. He was talking about loads of social media people, loads of general news stuff. So it was quite good to kind of keep abreast of what was going on. And then I guess he got banned. I don't know why. I forgot why he got banned from Twitter. Then I kind of stopped following him, which is the thing. That's the thing where cancellation actually works. Cancellation on social media works because the platforms that we all use are what? Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, I don't know what else, Snapchat, whatever it may be, right? If you get banned off the main ones, you basically don't exist. And Def Noodles didn't exist to me anymore, so I couldn't even see his content. I didn't even know he was around. And then when I'd go on YouTube now, I just see all these videos of other content creators basically slating him for doing this wrong, that wrong, like it's just all bad stuff about Def Noodles. And it's really strange because I saw him just as a weird, funny news source guy, and now he's turned into like, the next fucking Phil DeFranco. You remember Phil DeFranco? Everyone hated him. He's basically turned into that, and it's really weird to see from afar, to be honest. Like, I don't know what happened or what changed. Maybe he inserted too much of his own personality into his show and stuff, but he's definitely somebody people who don't really seem to like anymore, which is really strange, man, considering how I kind of discovered him in the first place. But, I guess it is. Martin Moose says, watch his live roast on his channel, worst show ever aired. Makes Growing Up Happy look like a masterpiece. Cool. I'll note that down for the next one. Not today, because I've got loads of things to run through, but I'll definitely do it in the next stream. I'm probably going to do another one tomorrow anyway, so I'll note that down and watch that one. I definitely want to take it. Mr. DBZ fan says, a separate channel for DJ content would be cool. Buying a channel is a good idea. Depends what the channel was originally for. Yeah, true. I think I should start from scratch. I think buying it is a bit of a cheap, fake, crappy way to do things. And I think I should definitely buy it myself, do it from scratch. So yeah, I'm definitely going to do that. Brendan should write a computer program and sell it door to door. But yeah, anyway, cool. Let's continue. Next on the list here. Okay, this is the one where I wanted to flip and talk about because I thought this was insane and kind of demonstrated the fucking hubris and the ego that some of these flipping comedians have. And I think I'm smiling because I think deep down, I kind of wish I was this delusional. I kind of wish I was this self-absorbed. I kind of wish I had this kind of confidence in the things that I do or the things that I say and the impacts that it makes, because I think I would be far more successful in my career and the things that I want to do in the future. Because I generally do think being delusional and having no real kind of serious grip on reality is a real win and a real kind of bonus point and success point if you're a content creator. I think it really is the thing that's going to take you to the next level if you really are delusional and have no idea about your limitations, or you really have an inflated sense of self. And if ever there was a person who exemplified inflated sense of self and all the above, it's this man, Mr. Bert Kreischer, the adult frat boy himself. And he was on who's his name? Steve-O's podcast, I guess this is it, right? The camper van one. And he had this crazy little snippet, what he said, and this is a clip taken from the Fire the Kid subreddit as per usual. And he says the following: the Two Bears, One Cave Pornhub t-shirt parody thing is pretty cool, but what he had to say was absolutely insane.
I hope I'm not speaking at school, but the only reason anyone knows about Whoop is because of us.
Yeah.
Because we did Sober October. And so we were the first generation of dudes getting Whoops.
Absolutely insane. Bert Kreischer is ascribing the success or the popularity of Whoop, wearable technology, a company that's been around since 2011 or 2010. I remember seeing them around, right? A company that was featured on all the major gadget sites. Every site that you would imagine people who are into wearable technology would check out. Engadget, not The Verge, another one too that existed. I forgot. Anyway, many gadget blogs from back in the day that used to feature those kind of things. They would feature kind of wearable tech and all that kind of stuff because that was prominent at the time and it was coming up and it was something that was really interesting. And obviously Whoop, with it being a faceless kind of watch and whatnot and something that just kind of collected data, was obviously something that was a bit of a game changer. So for him to ascribe the success of that company with Sober October on a podcast is insane. Podcast, even if it's Joe Rogan, no matter how successful he is, there's still an incredible niche. Most people don't listen to podcasts day to day. Most people just listen to music, fuck around, do their thing. They don't listen to podcasts. And the fact that you would think most people would be listening to a really specific type of content on a podcast, which is Sober October, you have to be a fan of those guys to generally give a shit about Sober October. If you're not a fan of Bert Kreischer, Tom Segura, Ari Shaffir, or Joe Rogan, you're probably not going to watch Sober October or take part in it. You don't really care. I was a fan of it because I was a fan of all those guys, and I thought the chemistry with them on the show was quite cool. And myself being a bit of a lagerlout and somebody that tends to go out too often and likes the nightlife and gets on it too much, Sober October was also an opportunity for me to go sober and to get kind of clean before the hectic kind of winter schedule of parties or whatnot. So I always kind of joined in. But to suggest that Whoop was well known because of Sober October is legitimately insane. The company was like 4 years in before they even started. Maybe 6 years in, maybe. Because I think Sober October started in like 2016 or something, right? They might, 4 years in, 4 to 5 years in, right? The company was in from 2011. Sober October starts in 2016, 2017, and they legitimately think that Whoop they're the reason why Whoop started getting successful. And if I'm not mistaken, wasn't them tracking what they do on Sober October something they did later? Wasn't it in like the second one? Wasn't even like the first one? I don't know. Maybe I'm confusing it, but regardless, if ever you need a demonstration as to why these guys are successful, I think this is the reason why. They legitimately believe the shit that comes out of their mouth. Like, he legitimately believes this. He's not like saying this to be funny. He legitimately thinks he was responsible for Whoop's success. I wouldn't be surprised if I heard what's his thing called? I heard Bert Kreischer also say he thinks he's responsible for the success of Tito's vodka. Was it Tito's, right? Is it Tito's rum or is it whiskey? Or whatever, that Tito's drink. For the Americans out there, again, I'm not American. Is Tito whiskey or is it rum? What is it? But I know Bert loves Tito's or whatever. Is it Tito's? I think it's called Tito's. Is it whiskey? Is it rum? Is it vodka? What is it? Tell me in the chat. But anyway, regardless of what it is, I'm sure it's vodka. I'm sure he would say, I'm sure I could find a clip somewhere of him suggesting to some extent that he was responsible for the success of Tito's because it's something that everyone knows him to drink. It's like, come on, man, get out of here. Hey, Ray Pissed, what's up? Big up. Thanks for joining. So yeah, if ever you need the reason why these guys, if ever you need to know why these guys are successful, I think this is the reason why. They generally believe what comes out of their mouth. They generally think, like, you know how they kind of talk about pedestrians, civilians, and people who aren't comedians. I generally think they believe that they're better than us, that they have the job that we all want. Like, I don't want to be a stand-up comedian. I'm not sure about you. Maybe the lifestyle's cool. Maybe the ability to go on stage for 2 hours a day, basically working like that, and then coming home or going on tour to exotic countries and shit is pretty cool. But to be a stand-up comedian itself, I don't want to do that. To be around some people who talk behind your back all the time, I don't want to do that. Like, who wants to do that? Do you know what I mean? But they generally think that they're better than you and I because they get to talk, they get to basically make believe that they're still flipping in college when they're grown adults. Like I said with Bert, like he's like an adult frat baby. He's like an adult frat boy in general. Do you know what I mean? He gets to indulge his kind of his teenage dreams in his old age, or until basically he wants to stop. But yeah, I don't know. I just thought it was fucking an insane thing to say in general. And what people in the chat saying here? Bert's charm is wearing off. I agree. Hey from Australia, says Brad Gray. Big up Australia. Big up Brad Gray. Big up Ray Pierce, big up Exercise Shaman. Ape N says, Bert indirectly started the band Creed, according to him only. Of course he said that. Of course he'll say that. Keith McLeod said he stopped mentioning how much he liked Tito's because they wouldn't sponsor him, not realizing his alcoholism could be bad. Keith McLeod, are you McLeod or McLeod, or is it McLeod? McLeod. I don't know how you pronounce your surname. Apologies, but is that true about them realizing that he's bad for business? Do you think so? I don't think that's true. I hope not. But what I get the feeling of is that a lot of these liquor brands, okay, McLeod, cool. Big up Keith McLeod. I think a lot of these liquor brands, from what I've seen so far, they're pretty hesitant on who they sponsor or who they kind of align themselves with. I'm not too sure why. They seem to be very hesitant on who they align themselves, which is really strange considering alcohol is, a little bit of a, it's a bad thing in general, right? It's generally drunken in bars and stuff where adults are, but I don't really know why they seem to be very gun shy about sponsoring and advocating certain people. I think of Hennessy and Young M.A. from back in the day. Do you remember her, the rapper Young M.A.? And her trying to basically get a deal with Hennessy and then basically saying no, even though she basically made this viral song with a line in it that basically featured Hennessy that everyone was repeating, and she had it all in her video, and they were pretty hesitant about sponsoring her and stuff. Like, it's very strange. I don't know why they like that. It's very, very odd. But yeah, that's pretty bleak, isn't it? That Bert was mentioning Tito so often and they then refused to kind of sponsor him or talk to him, have a conversation with him. That's pretty awful, man. Because I don't think I would have heard of Tito's if it wasn't for Bert Kreischer either. Do you know what I mean? Even I'll go back on what I'm saying, I don't think I would have heard of that fucking brand at all. Ouch says, Ouch or Ooch, sorry, pardon me if I got your name wrong, says, I don't find Bert funny at all. It's sad that his so-called best friends are watching him drink himself into a liver failure so nonchalantly. Yeah, man. The Bert thing and the drinking thing, I don't know. I don't necessarily think it's anyone's business to tell him to stop drinking, because I think if he wasn't a comedian, he'd just be a drunk and no one would fucking give a shit. I think the fact that he's in front of us in camera and stuff, people kind of pretend that they really give a fuck, but they don't really care. There's many alcoholics out there who are essentially drinking themselves to death, which is unfortunate, but if you're an adult and you continue doing that kind of thing, it is what it is, especially with it being a disease. It's very difficult to help somebody until they want to help themselves. But I also think, personally for me, this is just me saying, me. Okay, Uche, sorry. Uche, it's just me, right? Uche, just me. I personally think he kind of plays it up a bit. I don't necessarily think he's as bad as a drunk as he makes it seem. I think he kind of leans into it. I think he's that kind of guy who's found out he's got shtick. Because this is the thing you have to imagine. Comedians are very addicted to attention, right? They're attention whores in general. And I think the fact that he gets attention from people being concerned about his drinking is somewhat gratifying. So for him to kind of pretend that he's going to give up or try and go sober and stuff, it's going to take a big chunk away from how he identifies himself and attention that he gets. So I think he plays it up. And I think he leans into it a little bit, in my opinion. I don't think he's as bad as he makes it seem as, personally for me. Especially considering that he's a stand-up comedian, professional stand-up comedian. He's got specials. He does stuff on TV. He's in movies. He goes on tours. He's got a family. If he was as bad as an alcoholic as he is, it would have been already over for him. You would have seen him in... If he was as bad as an alcoholic as he is, he would be like that guy. Who's that comedian who's recently got sober? And he's got a nose that's really flat. And I think he's got a septum that's burned through because all the coke he did, and he's, he was always in rehab and stuff. Who's that comedian? I forgot his name. Someone tell me. Who's that comedian? He's got a nose like this, white guy, really nice, really funny as well. and he recently got. I think I recently saw something like that. He got sober. Artie Lang. There we go. If Bert Kreischer was really as drunk as he says he was, he would be Artie Lang. If he was really as drunk as alcoholic as he says he was, he'd be Artie Lang. But the fact that he's got a career, the fact that he goes on tour, he's got merch, he's got 7 different podcasts, like he goes on other people's podcasts. Like, it's not true. I think he plays it up a bit. Oh wow, big up another donation. Big up for the super chat.
Texas. Love the show.
Thank you, Austin KC. Big up for the $10 super chat. I do appreciate you, my friend. Big up, big up, big up, big up, big up, big up. Yeah, so I think if you are fucked up, you end up like Artie Lang. If you are fucked up, you end up like that other comedian who also died. No, I think he was depression, wasn't it? Or was it linked to alcohol? People say he drank a lot as well. What's his name? He was friends with white dude with long hair. What's his name that died, man? Fuck. He was really funny as well. I keep forgetting these names. But anyway, it doesn't matter. You would know. Basically, you would know. I don't think he would be this far in his career and he'd be all sweet. So I think he plays it up. I really do, man. That's the thing. Greg Giraldo. That's the one. Greg Giraldo. Thank you, Martin Moose. If he was really fucked up, he'd be like Greg Giraldo. So I think all this stuff about him being an alcoholic and a drunk, I think it's fake. I think he plays up to it. He leans into it because it gives him attention. You know, in general, like he loves it. People talk about it all the time. They joke about it on Two Bears, Two Game all the time. He's not that. Nah, I don't think so. What we're saying, yeah, I'm saying had a coke addiction. That's why his nose collapsed. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Max Taylor says thoughts on anti Joshua meltdown. To be honest, I don't have many thoughts on it. Max Taylor, my somewhat unpopular opinion of it. What about high functioning alcoholic? No, Keith McLeod. No, I don't believe Bert's a high functioning alcoholic. I don't think he has it in him personally. I just don't think he gets that drunk. I don't think he's as drunk as he makes it seem. Or I don't think alcohol affects him the way he tries to make it seem it affects him. I don't believe it. I just don't. I don't think you could be that high and doing a thing without it. But anyway, my thoughts on Joshua. Unpopular opinion. I don't think. Yes, Mr. Singh. Big up. I don't think anti-Joshua. Unpopular opinion anti-Joshua. I don't mind the outburst personally. I think this was the first time we saw the real anti-Joshua. He kind of had a crack in his armor as he said in the press conference. His mask prematurely slipped off and we saw the real guy. I think for the most part in his career he has been pretending to be somebody, which is not a bad thing. I think, you know, he probably came into sport late anyway. He probably came from a dark past, a dark background, and he wanted to maybe start anew. So he created this kind of persona for himself, the AJ anti-Joshua persona, and we all bought into it because why not? He's not bad to look at. His story is pretty cool and he seemed pretty decent in the ring when he was facing okay opponents. So it wasn't a bad thing. But I think the moment he kind of stepped up in his level of competition, he was obviously met with a reality that didn't really match what he was being said to him behind the scenes, which is probably the main thing that he fucked up on. He probably had too many people around him that were yes men, too many people that kind of waxed his ego and basically told him he could do no wrong. And of course, sport is not like, you know, real sport is not like how comedy is, for instance, right? Like, you know, these guys can inoculate themselves with their friends and make it seem like they're the most funniest person in the world and their fans can gas them up. But in sport, it's black or white. Do you know what I mean? You're either good or you're not. And the moment he stepped up and started to face really tough competition, he definitely saw that there's a real gap between him and the top guys. So I think that's the reason why I don't really have that much of a bad thing to say about his outburst, because I think that was just him being honest and being his actual real true self. We got to see him really there in reality. I think in general it will serve him better as he continues on with his career. So I'm not really that bothered about that outburst personally. And also I also think it's a good thing anyway in general for boxing. I think this whole idea about having an unbeaten record and stuff is really crap in boxing. I think that's what stops it being a great sport, especially when in comparison to the UFC. The UFC, the best of the best face each other all the time. You know, if the UFC was like boxing, Kamaru Usman would never be facing somebody of the level of Leon Edwards. But the fact that UFC is what it is, you always face the best of the best at all times. You have to defend your belt against the most hungriest, the most talented, and the most able people all the time, and they don't cut no corners. So the unbeatable records can't stand anyway because you're going to face too much stiff competition. So hopefully now with Joshua losing, this will obviously turn people's attention away from that unbeaten record and more about putting good fights together. Hopefully. What's one of Brendan? What's that? Who's got a burner account? What's happening here? Who's a burner account? Brendan Coolio said you couldn't remember Mitch Hedberg's name. I didn't say Mitch Hedberg. I didn't want to say Mitch Hedberg. I wanted to say what's his name? I forgot him again. What's his name? I wanted to say. Who's the guy with the collapsed nose? Artie Lang. I didn't want to say Mitch Hedberg. And then you pronounce Greg Giraldo's name wrong. Okay, cool, but I didn't remember his name also. You're an internet turd and don't actually follow comedy. You just dick ride Brendan Schaub. No, that's not true. I do follow comedy. The fact that I know who those two people are is probably a good indication that I follow comedy. I don't think most people who dick ride Brendan Schaub would know who Greg Giraldo or who Artie Lang is. I'm pretty sure if you went to Brendan Schaub's stand-up show, and you stood outside and you wait for people to come out and you asked them if they knew who Artie Lang or Greg Giraldo was. Forget Artie Lang, maybe Artie Lang because he's had documented struggles. But if you ask them who Greg Giraldo was, I don't think they'd know who he was. So the fact that I know who those people are is probably the reason why I probably do follow comedy. But if you think I dick ride Brendan Schaub, then that's okay. I'm okay with that, no problem. Everyone's got their opinion in it. If you think I dick ride him, that's okay. If you think I talk bad about him, that's okay. If you think this, you think that, it's no problem, man. This is the internet. You're free to say what you want, my friend. You're free to say what you want. Okay, moving on. Next on this, we have this clip, which I think is hilarious because this is actually the cover image for this stream. If you saw the image that I used in terms of the stream that was what am I talking about? I can't fucking. It's too late, and then drink some more coffee before I continue. Okay, let's go. So, this clip is hilarious, and this clip is also the thing that I used to screen grab for the for the cover image of the stream. It's essentially a clip taken from The King, The Sting, and The Wing, and it features Theo and Brendan. And they get talking, and Brendan, for some reason, I guess, in this conversation, I would wish someone could make a search engine where you could basically tally up the episodes where Brendan doesn't mention Joe Rogan's name. But I think he mentions Joe Rogan's name at least once in every show that he does, even if it's not connected with what he's talking about. So somehow he gets to mention Joe Rogan's name, and he lets slip the date at which he's going to be on Joe Rogan again, supposedly doing the Fight Companion. And they're going to be doing it with the original cast. So it's Joe Rogan, Eddie Bravo, Brian Callen, and Brendan Schaub, the original Fight Companion cast, right? So that's what they're going to be doing. And Brendan obviously let it slip because, he loves to let things like that slip. And me personally, having been a long-time fan of Joe Rogan and watching him from the early 400s and stuff, I've got a feeling he didn't want anyone to know that he was going to have these guys back on the show, because I think, personally, my own opinion, that Joe's been going out of his way to avoid having Brendan and Brian on the show ever since what went down with Chris D'Elia, and of course ever since what went down with Brian, and of course ever since what went down with Brendan. And if you watched Brendan's last appearance on the Joe Rogan podcast, you would have seen it was very awkward. You could see that they haven't really spoken in a while. You could see that all the things that Brendan says about him being on text with Brendan, him talking to Joe Rogan every day, was definitely a lie, because he didn't know loads of things about Brendan's life that he probably shouldn't have known, and there was clearly a bit of a disconnect there where maybe Joe had kind of pulled away from those guys in general due to all the things that were going around them. So personally, I think the fact that Joe has done so well to not mention Brian at all, he hasn't mentioned his name too tough in the last few years, last 2 years since the allegations have happened. He's obviously avoided the Chris D'Elia conversation like an absolute plague, especially with the Spotify deal. I don't think he would have wanted everyone to know when they were coming back. I think he would have wanted it to be a surprise. So the fact that Brendan spilled the details, I think, is probably going to be an issue. And I wouldn't be, again, it's not going to happen, I doubt it, but don't be surprised if this show doesn't happen. Don't be surprised if this Fight Companion that Brendan's talking about ends up getting mysteriously cancelled. Don't be surprised. Because I've got a feeling, especially now, considering how Joe was getting absolutely punished and smacked over the head with all that ivermectin stuff, the Alex Jones connection, it feels like a lot of people in mainstream media really got their fucking pitchforks out and ready to try and cancel Joe. So if he does end up having Brian Callen on again, somebody a lot of the mainstream media would label to be a rapist, I think they're going to go after him again. So I think that's why probably Joe's really careful and really, hesitant to have them on the show. And of course, Eddie Bravo as well, he's wild. I don't know. I just think it was a real misstep, and it's the sort of thing that Brendan always does. Like he said when he said Joe slings dick, he just kind of, he lets his mouth go and says too much.
And then the original Fight Command's coming back. Will be on Rogan September 3rd. Rogan, Eddie, Callen, me.
Y'all are doing it here?
No, we're all going to Austin.
Wow. That's going to be fun. Eddie's going to be in it.
Mm-hmm.
Look at that face. Have you ever seen Brendan Schaub smile about anything else in his entire life? The way he smiles about Joe Rogan. He legitimately looks happy. He legitimately looks over the moon that he's going to be hanging out with his best buddy, Joe fucking Rogan. And I think it's so bizarre that grown-ass men have such a weird infatuation and a hard-on for him. It really is bizarre. I've not seen it in any other industry. The only thing I've seen close to this is something similar to like Steve Jobs. Remember Steve Jobs? Because even Elon Musk, I think Elon Musk has fanboys, but I don't think they're as bad as Joe Rogan fanboys, especially in the industry. I think Elon Musk has fans of like geeks who want to be him, right? Or geeks who think he's Iron Man, right? In human form and stuff. I think that's understandable. If you're a nerd and you're somebody that was never cool and stuff, and you always got bullied in school, but you're really smart, and then you see Elon Musk getting all the girls, living this amazing life and stuff, and smoking weed on Joe Rogan, I can understand why he's your idol, right? In general, he seems like a pretty cool guy to kind of, get behind and kind of fan over. And Steve Jobs also, it's undeniable why you'd want to kind of suck his dick. But the Joe Rogan stuff is weird because it's not even his fanboys that are really overly fans of him. It's people that you would consider to be his peers. Like his peers are the ones that suck his dick so much. And it's honestly so bizarre. Like, they don't even take the piss out of him. Like, the most they do is what Tim Dillon does, where he takes the piss out of him and does those fucking incredible impressions of fucking Joe Rogan. I don't know, man. I don't know. Those impressions are so good, right? Ari Shaffir is only another person who sometimes takes the piss out of Joe Rogan. Maybe Tom Segura sometimes. That's it. No one takes the piss out of him. No one makes jokes at his expense. No one. There's no such thing. It doesn't happen. Oh yeah, and Bill Burr. Bill Burr too. Thank you, Martin Moose. Bill Burr also is somebody that kind of takes a piss out of him. But the rest of them, they just love him so fucking much. But to be fair, because I like to be balanced here. This is not somewhere where I kind of, what did someone call me? They say I dick ride Schaub, right? Maybe I dick ride him, but maybe I also don't ascribe everything as malice when it comes to Brendan. Sometimes I just think he's just, he is what he is. I think the hilarious part of it is this, right? I think he has more reason than anyone on the planet to suck Joe Rogan's dick and to gargle his nuts. He has every reason to do so. Because, let's be honest, without Joe Rogan's friendship, where the fuck would Brendan Schaub be? Just on pure talent alone, where would he be? I think he would still be successful in podcasting because I think he's got a good work ethic, clearly, right? And he clearly is somebody that doesn't mind grinding. He's clearly somebody that is good at doing the whole networking and smooching and pretending to be someone's friend and whatnot. He can clearly do it, right? So I think he would have been okay in that regard. But would he have been as successful as he is without Joe Rogan? No way. Even Brian Callen couldn't have helped him the way Joe Rogan helped him in terms of putting him on one of the biggest platforms in the world. At one time, fucking Brendan Schaub was the fucking most appearances guest. Yeah, he was a guest for the most appearances on the Joe Rogan podcast at one time, which was flipping insane to think about because Joe Rogan has so many different people on there from all different walks of life and stuff, all different expertise, all different fields of interest, whatever it may be. To think that Brendan Schaub was a person that was the most repeat guest on there is fucking insane. It's never gonna happen again, by the way, but that was insane. There was a time and period. All those times on there were really great times to signal boost yourself and to come across. And again, especially the early ones, they were really good. You can see the relationship because Joe's, I think, better with people that he actually likes and respects. So even the recent podcast that Joe did with Tim Dillon, I thought was super funny, really insightful because Joe clearly loves Tim Dillon and respects him as a comic and as a man. And clearly Tim also, because he's killing it on Patreon and doing successful things with his own career, he doesn't need Joe as much as other people do. He's not going on there to gargle Joe's nuts. He's not going on there to hopefully boost his sales and whatever. Maybe he's fine. He still sells out places on his own. He doesn't need Joe Rogan's help, but obviously it helps. So Joe kind of, you can see the mutual respect there when they're on the podcast. And those early appearances with Brendan and Joe Rogan were pretty good. Let's be honest. Even I can say they were really good, the early appearances. Then, of course, it started to go bad. But he has every reason, I think, to be on Joe Rogan's ass. But I just find it hilarious that a grown man could laugh or smile about another grown man this way. Like to this extent, like he's really happy to go on Joe Rogan again. I'm back, people thought I wasn't back again, but I'm going to be back again. But let's see how it goes down. Maybe it might not be as good as he thinks it's going to be. I still think that fight companion was amazing because they were generally friends and they generally used to hang out, and they would usually go for dinner after the fight companion and whatnot and talk about going for drinks. Like, they seemed like they generally were going to spend the whole day with each other. These days, they're all kind of going through what they're going through. Cannon's had a kid at 60 years of age. He got remarried, divorced, the rape thing. Like, loads of shit has happened, right? Brendan Schaub's gone through what he's gone through. It's going to be a weird atmosphere to be around. Eddie Bravo, I don't think likes Brendan in general, so I don't know how that's going to be. Like, it might not be the best situation to go back to personally. So I think all this excitement and glee is okay, maybe, because you want to show that you're still in the good books of Joe, but it might not be what you think it's going to be, my friend. But hey, at least he's happy in it. At least he's happy. What people in the chat saying here? Uche saying it was honestly a pretty entertaining interview. IMO. Schaub is gonna be back. Mr. Singh saying my favorite karma is in life is Crystal is having to crawl back to this idiot for any chance of exposure. Oh. Yo, Crystal having to be Brendan Schaub's right hand man, as True Geordie said, must be such a brutal blow to the ego, innit? Because Crystal was, as he says, like rocket. He was blowing up, man. He was going sky high, and now he's, doesn't have representation in terms of like them WME or whatever people that he worked with before. The movie things are completely gone, and now he's having to be Brendan Schaub's bum chum in order to get a career. Like, awful. I would be so unhappy if that happened. But anyway, what can you do? Schaub is gonna get the. Oh really? Tim Dillon went on H3H3 and Uche. Oh my god, I can't wait for that. I'm surprised, to be honest, because Ethan Klein has become really insufferable. He's really let his left-leaning politics dictate his entire worldview. So I'm surprised he'd even have Tim Dillon on, to be honest, because Tim Dillon is not left-leaning at all. So that's really surprising, but I'm really curious to see how that goes down. Hopefully it's funny. Hopefully it's funny. I really, really want to do it. I really want to check it. Yeah, cool. I will. I'll add it to a list of stuff I'm going to do. That's mad. Yes, I can't wait to watch that. That's going to be fucking awesome. Hell yeah. Anyway, continue on. So, I really got heated. Oh, I can't wait. Uche, okay, Uche, don't spoil it anymore. Please, don't spoil it anymore. I can't wait to watch it. I really can't wait to watch it. Fucking, I'm so excited. I love Tim Dillon. Obviously, he's my favorite. Tim Dillon and Bill Burr, those are my two favorites. Or maybe Tim Dillon, Bill Burr, and Shane Gillis. Those are my two favorites. I fucking love it. I fucking love them. Yeah, Martin Moose, Tim Dillon pretends to be right-wing and he's a centrist. Yeah, true. Probably is, but I just like the fact that he's a fucking enthusiastic nihilist. I think we need more of them in the community, especially in comedy. He's somebody that's not going to tell you that anyone could do it. He's not going to be encouraging everyone to do podcasts. He doesn't think like, being a content creator is the be-all and end-all of life. He's going to call shit to that. He doesn't look down on civilians or pedestrians. He doesn't believe in the American dream, clearly. Like, all those things that people need to hear, the kind of gas that comedians kind of throw out there, he kind of spits in it. So I kind of like that about him, to be honest. I'm not going to lie, I do. I kind of like that about him. But anyway, let's move on. This is an interesting clip, again, taken from the Frighten the Kids subreddit. And it says, I saw the future in my kratom leaves, daddy's in danger. This is a kind of a little compilation of the times that Brent... Actually, you know what? Let's not watch this because we're already talking about it already anyway. Let's skip that one. Let's skip that one because we already talked about it anyway. Oh, this is the one. Let's get into this. So, someone mentioned it already in the chat, but again, I don't know much about it because I haven't been paying too much attention. But it looks like Brendan has, what's his name? He's cancelled the show, right? And it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. I just say that categorically in the beginning. It doesn't matter who cancels shows, who doesn't sell tickets. It really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things, right? No one really fucking gives a shit. Most of us are never going to watch Brendan, are never going to go buy tickets to watch Brendan's shows anyway. Most of his fans don't go buy shows just from pure numbers. He's got 1 million followers or something, right? Most of his fans don't go to watch him live anyway. They watch the podcast. They maybe watch the special when it does come out. They consume his content online for the most part. No one gives a shit. The fact that people do go is good, whatever. Go and enjoy it. But the issue, why this is an issue and why this is something people basically hammer him for, is because Brendan goes out of his way to really, really lie to a level that doesn't make any sense because most people don't care about the number of tickets he sells and whether or not something's a sellout or whatnot. It just doesn't make any sense. And maybe in his head, he equates selling out or selling out places and whatnot, he equates that as like some kind of barometer that he's a good comedian or that he's somehow successful, which I don't really understand, because there's plenty of people who sell tickets who are bad at what they do or who are demonstrably terrible at what they do. Not say bad, terrible. So the fact that he kind of thinks that selling tickets is somehow a barometer of success is really bizarre. And also the fact that he tries to trick his audience into believing that is also strange, because it doesn't do anything for us. Because you would imagine if you went to fake your ticket sales, in my opinion, this is what I think, right? This is my theory. If I went to be a deceitful, deceptive, conniving kind of person that went to lie to my fans about ticket sales, the reason why I would do that is so I could trick the people who are in the industry, who call the shots, to give me more opportunities, to let me book more shows, to book me for more festivals, to put me on tour, to add me to lineups. I'd want those people to kind of pay attention, or maybe my peers, so they can maybe think I'm good. But I wouldn't be doing it to make my fans think I'm bigger than what I am. It wouldn't make any sense. Why would you want to fake to your fans that you're bigger than what you are? We know how big you are because we see with our own eyes. Do you know what I mean? It's not hard to tell. So this whole like faking of ticket sales, this whole like acting like something is sold out when it isn't, is very strange. I don't understand it. But to be fair to the guy, he's not the only one. They all do it. They all talk about nearly sold out shows, which is a phrase I've never heard anyone else say. I know when I used to promote club nights in nightclubs and whatnot, we would sometimes do stuff where you'd be like, oh, last chance to get tickets before they go in the door, last chance to buy advance tickets or whatnot. But you would never lie that it was close to being sold out, because what's the point? Like, it just doesn't add. I wouldn't go to a show because it's nearly sold out. I'm just gonna go. I'm not gonna go. So I never understood that whole thing anyway, in the most part. But anyway, let's move on. So this is Brendan Schaub announcing that he's cancelling his show because of COVID, which is crazy, right? As an excuse to be using in flipping 2022. Actually, my frames are dropping a lot in it. Let's quickly change. How can I change? What does skip frames? What am I doing? 42% of skip frames. What does this mean? Lower your encoder settings or ensure that you don't have any other applications open and enable performance. Lower my encoder settings. How the hell am I going to do that? Okay, cool. So it's preference. Let's see. Because it says I'm skipping frames here. Stream. Audio, head keys. Where is it? Video. Let's see if I can lower my encoder settings here. Yeah, you can't lower anything, mate, because I'm streaming. It doesn't let me lower anything, does it? Why are you flipping honey dicking me? Anyway, let's just go. Let's just rock with it. Bro, and some of that RAM. You need to better CPU and some of that RAM. Yeah, I know. I'll eventually have to get a flipping streaming laptop anyway, because this is just a MacBook in there, so it's not going to do the job. But anyway, let's roll. This is Brendan Schaub announcing that he has to Mr. Singh, RAM Fund. Yeah, exactly. That's my next one when I come in. RAM Fund will be there. The beer fund is struggling at the moment, but hopefully the RAM Fund works. Oh, this is incredible. Anyway, this is Brendan Schaub announcing that his show is cancelled due to COVID. Do we believe him? Let's see what you guys think.
What's up, fam? I am here with some good news, some bad news. Bad news is my show this Friday at the Den Theater has been canceled. I don't blame the Den Theater. Don't be upset. The Den Theater.
Denver or Den? Sounds like he's always speaking with marble in his mouth, isn't it? It's such a bizarre way to kind of enunciate. But hey, let's continue.
And refund all your tickets. My team didn't do their homework when we got the contract and realized that the Den Theater has very strict COVID laws with the vaccination cards and boosters.
Laws. And obviously he doesn't believe in COVID because he got it 3 times, spread it to everybody. Oh, yeah.
All that stuff. I won't get into it. Don't be about Den Theater. They're just part of the whole kind of Chicago theater union, and they have still implemented these strict rules. We didn't know this. I'm not anti-vax, none of that stuff. But what I am is I believe in people making their own decisions, and you shouldn't predicate whether you can come to a comedy show or not. So I can't partake in that.
What? Is he trying to display himself as some sort of freedom warrior or something? Now he's gonna be the anti-COVID regulation fighter or something. Are you insane? This is the lie that he's making up. He's now making up the fact that this Den Theatre place, because it's got strict COVID laws, as he says, which basically require, I'm assuming, everyone to wear a mask if they're seated, in his audience. But he needs to see their mouths so he can see that they're laughing, because he's not sure if they're laughing, whatever it may be. Because of that, he's cancelling the show. He expects us to believe that. Do you think if the show was sold out, he would have cancelled it? Do you think so? Because I would imagine. Sorry, I burped there. Was a mic as well. That's disgusting. I apologize. But hey, it happened. It happened. Let's continue. I would imagine most comedy